And it was amazing to me how many people didn't believe that I struggled with imposter syndrome. But here's the truth. I struggle with imposter syndrome. I'll have it. The high achiever, the goal-oriented, the go-getter, the ambitious. We all have it. I work with guys who refuse to settle for mediocrity. And one of the things I'm discovering is we're all guilty. We're all guilty. The pastor, when he goes to district assembly or a district event and he's had a level of success and he goes and he gets around some other pastors and he starts to compare himself and he starts to feel unworthy of being in that space. It's like, I don't belong. I'm a fake. I'm a phony. I'm a fraud. If they only knew the truth about me. The health coach, myself, here's my reality. And I wrote a post yesterday. You may have seen this, and if not, jump on my Facebook and go see if you can figure it out. I'll give you one hint. I wrote a post yesterday that's 4 truths and a lie. 4 truths and a lie. And it's actually, that post is what's kind of prompted this live video to talk about this issue because it's real. But I gave 4 truths and a lie about me. One of the truths was that I struggle with imposter syndrome. And it was amazing to me how many people didn't believe that I struggled with imposter syndrome. You see, I come across pretty confident and I come across pretty bold and I've worked really hard over the last couple of years to deal with imposter syndrome. But here's the truth. I struggle with imposter syndrome. Sometimes feeling like a fake, a phony, a fraud. As a health coach, I've had some incredible success, and I believe I am a dang good health coach. And I will just tell you, I am a dang good health coach. But then all of a sudden, I start comparing myself to other dang better health coaches. And I start looking around, and I watch a video by Athlete X, and I start to go, am I really that competent? And I start to second guess, and I start to question my knowledge and my competency, and I start to begin to wonder, do I really belong with these people? Or am I an imposter? The dad has it when his kid screws up and he starts to question whether he's a good father or not. The mom has it when she wonders whether she's really doing her best as a mama. The athlete has it when he's had a level of success but doesn't feel like he belongs in the NFL because for some reason he's questioning himself. Imposter syndrome. That point where we believe or we feel and we have these beliefs and these tapes we play and these sentences we tell ourselves about ourselves that we're not good enough. We don't measure up. Now here's what I know. We all struggle with this at some level. And it's a limiting belief. These are beliefs that we hold that hold us back. They keep us from taking action. They keep us from really stepping into our best self. And they keep us from being everything that God created us to be. They're beliefs that we have about ourselves, and they're the tapes we play that we start to really question whether we're good enough or whether we belong or whether we should. And here's what I know. Here's what I know. It is a journey of growth, and every one of us struggles and yet has the ability to step into that arena. We have the ability to step into the arena. But limiting beliefs, and imposter syndrome specifically, is a belief that holds me back and keeps me from taking action that can actually move me up in that area and in that field or in that zone where I feel like I don't belong. In fact, this video, this live, you have no idea how long it took me to push the button to go live. There's so many people who've talked about imposter syndrome. There's so many people who've talked about this stuff, who know this stuff so much better and probably far more eloquent than I stumbling over my words. But I belong in this space. You see, I've worked really, really hard over the last couple years to deal with my mindset and my beliefs about me and who God has created me to be. And I want to give you a couple tips and some things that I've learned in this journey that might help you. And here's one of the first things that has really helped me really thrive in my goals and in becoming and stepping into this person that God's called me to be, and to be the best health coach that I can be, the best life coach, the best mindset coach, the best habits coach that I can be at this point in my journey. And here's one of the things. Growth begins with awareness. Growth begins with awareness. I have to recognize that, yeah, I have some limiting beliefs. I have some thoughts that I'm telling myself, and I have to question their validity, because most of what I've found in limiting beliefs is once you start to identify the limiting beliefs, you'll start to identify the lie within it. You start to identify the lie within it, but growth always begins with self-awareness, becoming more aware of what's going on in my brain, becoming more aware of the tapes I'm playing and how they're not serving me well, and how they're taking me away from my goals instead of to my goals. So one of the things I've worked really hard on is mindset, and thinking about what I think about, and really spending time asking myself questions about the thoughts I'm having and whether they're serving me well or not. The second thing that I've done is I've started to consider the evidence. Consider the evidence. I have a coaching client, a health client that and coach that just had a lot of limiting beliefs around his ability to step into and be good at stuff. And when we started to unpack his history, what we discovered was that when he was a kid growing up, he was bullied a lot. And he had some guys picking on him and calling him names and telling him he's no good and telling him he's dumb. And there was a handful of these people, and he was bullied. And then here's what I find fascinating. For the next 50 years of his life, he bullied himself. He bullied himself by telling himself all those things that they told him. I'm not good enough. I can't. Nobody loves me. All the things. And then I started asking him about the truth. And we started to discover that over the last 50 years, he's been very successful. He's been very loved. He's been very well received when he spoke publicly. He's done all these things, but he always felt like an imposter because he never saw the value in himself, because he continued to listen to the lies of a handful of people 50 years ago that he, over that 50 years, kept convincing himself was true when it wasn't true, and there was a plethora of evidence to the contrary. But why don't we see this? Why do we only see the negative? Why do we only see this history back here of when we failed or when something went wrong, and we play those tapes, but we don't play all the tapes that are true? Like, man, great job. You did well. I love you. Man, that speech was awesome. Great sermon, Pastor. Yeah, well, no. Why do we only see all this negative crap when there's a plethora of evidence to the contrary? So one of the things I've started to do, and I did this when I was pastoring, anytime somebody would send me a card or a note, a thank you card, or man, that just really impacted me, and I would file those in my desk. And when I was having those imposter syndrome beliefs or those limiting beliefs, I would pull out that file and I would just read the truth. Yeah, Dennis and Kelly got saved in my office. Yeah. Their life was impacted. Yeah, that sermon really helped this person take steps. Yes, that counseling really helped this person. And I started to actually focus on reading and seeing and valuing all the things that were true. And the more time I spent there, the less I believed the lies. But it's so easy for us, isn't it, to go back and believe the lies? Because we have told ourselves those lies, and we'll find evidence over and over. And as soon as we say the words, I can't, our brain will go to look for all the evidence to support it. See, like that time I failed there, or that time I didn't do that well, or that time I screwed that up. And we'll just start to compile all the negative evidence, and we'll lose sight of all the positive. So one of the things I want to encourage you to do is consider the evidence. Third thing that I do is I've reframed my view of failure. I've reframed my view of failure. There is no such thing as failure. The only way you can fail is to quit. It's the only way you can fail. The only way you can fail is to actually quit, to stop, to stay down. Every other failure is simply an education. That's all it is. It's an education. So when we reconsider and reframe failure, failure isn't a bad thing. Failure is actually what builds us to success. It's what we learn from so that we can improve. It's how we move forward. It's how we grow. We grow through failure. Failure is not failure unless you quit. So every time you see failure, you think you failed or you don't measure up because you failed. That's just simply a part of the process of growth to become and step into that person that God's called you to be. Fourth thing is to celebrate success and growth. Every time you do well, pat yourself on the back. Accept pats from other people on the back. Recognize that you are good enough and that you are growing. Avoid comparison. Comparison, as soon as you start to compare yourself to others in an area, you will always feel like you don't measure up. You will always feel like you don't belong. Because there's always, listen to me, there is always somebody better. There's always somebody better. Can I be a dang good health coach? Yes, I can. But is there a better one out there somewhere? Yeah. They charge a ton of money too. I mean, let's just be real. But they've got 20 years experience on my 5. They've got 30 years experience on your 10. And we're comparing ourselves to people who are way down here and saying, I don't measure up. Look at who you're comparing yourself to. You have not taken their journey. They kept growing. And if it stops you from growing, you'll never arrive where they are. But it's just time. If you continue to do what they do and know what they know, you'll be where they are. Avoid comparison. Growth begins with awareness, and I want to finish with this. Growth begins with awareness, but it is realized in action. Imposter syndrome stops us. Imposter syndrome keeps us from taking action. Imposter syndrome immobilizes us and paralyzes us. One of the ways you confront imposter syndrome is to take action and realize that you can do this. To take an action and realize that you can learn, you can grow, you can do, and you can keep stepping up and growing. Growth begins with awareness, but it's realized in action. And if you really want to grow, it's not about more knowledge. It's about taking action. So I want to encourage you and I want to challenge you today. Man, you are good enough. You're not an imposter. You belong in your space. You're not a phony, a fake, or a fraud. Own who God created you to be and go be the best and keep growing. Here's the thing, keep growing. When our business took off, when our health took off, when we went to the next level in all these areas, is when we made a decision to pour ourselves into personal growth and development and become the best version of ourselves. We don't have to be that. All we have to be is the best version of ourselves. And the best version of me is not somebody who's willing to settle for mediocrity and stay stuck. The best version of who I am is a growing person. The best version of you is a growing person. Do you have room for growth in your life? Do you have room in your life where you could level up? Can you go to the next level in your health? Can you go to the next level in your marriage? Can you go to the next? Are you perfect, or do you have room for growth? I think every single one of us would say, I'm not perfect. So that means we all have room for growth. So the best version of ourselves is a growing person, not a perfect person, a growing person. Are you getting better today than you were yesterday? Are you doing things? Are you putting things in your life to grow? Yes. Hi, my name is Daryl, and I struggle with imposter syndrome. But you know what? I don't settle for I struggle and stay. I contend with it so that I move beyond it. I keep growing out of it. I keep growing beyond it. Will I have those thoughts? Yes, those thoughts are short-lived now. How much time? One of the ways you know if you're growing is how much time you spend dwelling. Or did I have the thought and go, yeah, wait a minute. No, I'm not going to live there. I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to stay stuck. I have a choice with what I do with my mind. The Bible says this, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The Bible says, take every thought captive unto the obedience of Christ. You get to take it captive. That means to look at it and go, no, this is the thought I'm going to have. You get to choose your thoughts, and your thoughts produce your feelings, and your feelings produce your actions, and your actions always produce your results. Let me say that again. Your thoughts produce your feelings produce your actions, and your actions produce your results. You want different results? Measure it back and go, what am I thinking about? Are these thoughts getting me to where I want to be, or do I need to change the thoughts I'm having? Imposter syndrome is a thought that you're having. It's a belief that you have that is not true. So let's go live our best life. I say it all the time. I'm going to close this the same way. We have a choice every day how we show up. Show up as a person who's growing and becoming and stepping into their best self. Let's keep moving forward. Let's be our best self. And let's go make a difference in our world, because here's why I do all of this. Let me just get really real for a second. This is why I do this video. This is why I do all the things I do, is because I want to make a difference in my world. And I want to have a multiplication of people who are making a difference in their world. And I know this, that when you level up and you keep growing and you keep stepping into your best self, you can impact more and more people. Denise, when you go into that classroom, into that next new teaching assignment, guess what? I know this about you. You love those kids. You love being a teacher. And when you are the best teacher you can be, not perfect, you're the best teacher you can be, and you're a growing teacher, you're going to have such incredible impact in those students' lives that they will also go out and impact their world. So let's go make a difference in our world by becoming the best version of who God created us to be. Love you all. Have a great afternoon.